Thanks to the Vietnam Logistics Research and Development Institute and Oz for Skills for inviting me to speak today at this conference put together by the Vietnam-Australia Partnership for Human Resource Development. Me and a dedicated team of staff and other volunteers bring our passion for education to the freight forwarding global industry on behalf of Fiata, the International Federation of Freight Forwarder Associations. I've broken today's presentation into 4 topics. First is the effects of COVID-19 on training. Second, originally I was going to speak about training trends, but that is a vast topic where I could speak forever. So instead, I've narrowed the focus to adapting to training demands, which has been very relevant during the pandemic. Part of those demands has been an obvious transition to the digital methods of learning, which is point 3. So I'll talk a little bit about the challenges Fiata members have faced in this area when it comes to delivering training and even for learners when it comes to taking the training themselves. And finally, I'd like to take some time to discuss the Fiata Diploma and the Higher Diploma, as this is a vital component for any freight forwarding or global logistics organization to consider as part of their initial and ongoing training. So the effects of COVID-19 on training, there's been quite a few, and listed here on screen is just a few of the more significant ones. For example, classroom training has been canceled or postponed as a result of the pandemic. This affects all levels of schooling, from high school, as many of you would know a lot about, high school, college, university, and in freight forwarding, many global associations who are Fiata members have either had to stop teaching entirely or quickly adapt. With respect to training budgets, they're lower in many industries. So for example, in the airline industry that was very much affected by the pandemic, 70% of organizations overall have either removed their budget entirely or cut it in half. So college enrollment in Canada, for example, is roughly 20% lower due to the majority of students being international. And in freight forwarding, I can speculate that there is a strong need in existing budget to continue to train employees, so that training organizations who were best adapted for a digital model of learning would have benefited in this time. Without a strong digital offering to replace classroom learning, many organizations were unsure where to turn to get their employees training on a wide variety of competencies. With respect to digital technologies, where digital technologies are not necessarily new or challenging the status quo anymore, they have caused many organizations to shift from traditional learning methods to online. So for some organizations, this is a monumental change. Many mid to large size organizations had already adapted to a digital training pre-COVID, as they found the training to be more cost effective, easier to schedule, and the content can be delivered in a uniform way to all learners. Digital learning has been around for many years, and some countries, industries, and organizations were very early adopters. Most Fiata associations who provide education globally were providing solely classroom delivery. In many cases, this classroom delivery was because of a lack of technological availability, or maybe a lack of access to stable internet. And current computers and devices might have prevented many training providers from moving to digital learning, but the pandemic has forced many companies and providers to rethink their approach, and many were left scrambling on how to implement a digital version of their classroom material. Some associations stopped training entirely, while others used the tools available to keep going as best they could. Digital design methodologies and learner psychologies should always be taken into account, and delivering online is very different than classroom. However, groups did not have years to transition. When the pandemic hit, they had months. So we saw many simply move what would be their classroom training into a Zoom platform. This has enabled organizations to keep going and continue to deliver essential training like the Fiata Diploma and the Higher Diploma, and they have done so with great success. The implementation of a digital strategy takes a lot of planning to execute effectively, so the pandemic has forced many organizations to expedite this transition. Fiata has been actively providing guidance to training providers, as our goal is not just to enable digital learning, but to create world-class learning delivery that considers learning attention spans, effective online activities, appropriate blends of technology, and importantly, the choice of implementing asynchronous learning versus synchronous. One of the important considerations for organizations, students, and the training provider is whether to offer an asynchronous or synchronous or blended approach for training. As you can see on screen, hopefully you can read that. The asynchronous learning is a on-demand approach and involves the student learning at their own pace. This method of learning is often appreciated by those who have very busy work, social, and family commitments. So it enables them to take the training at a convenient time, from home or while in commute on public transport or even on breaks or wherever they may be. Implementing an asynchronous training requires upfront budget to create and significant design and planning, but once it's complete, the upkeep is minimal and the administrative burden is much lower than scheduled training. Synchronous learning is what most organizations have transitioned to. You're probably very familiar with this in your own organization, or you've been taking training of the synchronous nature. This is a much easier form of training to implement from a classroom delivery model. Students get the benefit of a live instructor to ask questions in real time, and for many, a scheduled approach is preferred to keep them on track. A blended approach of the two is, however, ideal, and the Fiata Logistics Institute, or FLI, is encouraging this blend when it comes to the delivery of the Fiata Diploma and Higher Diploma. The Fiata Diploma in Freight Forwarding consists of 14 modules, which include all key topics for freight forwarders, such as multimodal transport, air transport, customs procedures, and information and communication technologies in freight forwarding. The Fiata Higher Diploma in Supply Chain Management constitutes a progression pathway for the Fiata Diploma in Freight Forwarders graduates and includes 7 modules like global purchasing, contract management, and production and operations management. These are ideal for those looking to expand their breadth of knowledge and pursue leadership roles within their organization. These are all vital topics for any effective freight forwarder to be competent in, and for employers, hiring a prospect with these diplomas or sending their employees on this training gives them assurance of a skilled workforce that will set them apart from those who are not trained in the same manner. Globally, only Fiata member associations who have completed a comprehensive submission requirement are approved to offer these diploma programs. Fiata and FLI have minimum educational standards that must be met, and each association is only allowed to offer the diploma within their own country. The diploma is recognized by Fiata members in over 100 countries, and Fiata represents an industry of 40,000 logistics firms worldwide. This is truly an international diploma where a person could complete their studies in either Vietnam or Australia, and their diploma credential is acknowledged and accepted globally. Over the past 25 years, more than 17,000 graduates have received the Fiata Diploma in Freight Forwarding, and another 400 students have been awarded the Fiata Higher Diploma in Supply Management since 2013. As well, Fiata takes an active role in the promotion of young professionals with our yearly YIFA, or the Young International Freight Forwarder of the Year Award, where graduates of the Fiata Diploma submit dissertations to a panel of experts for an opportunity to represent their country and region in the international competition. This is an excellent opportunity to showcase skills, and it comes with incredible exposure on a global scale. In conclusion, events like this are extremely important for the industry, and I hope I was able to share some information of value. My thanks again to the Vietnam Logistics Research and Development Institute and Oz for Skills for inviting me today, and I hope that we'll be able to gather in person in the very near future. Take care. Thanks again.